Hello and welcome to this video on Invigilator compliance and administration training for delivering BCS qualifications. The purpose of this training video is to provide you, the Invigilator, with information about your responsibilities. It covers the Invigilator role and our requirements, our conflict of interest policy, records that Invigilators are required to maintain, advanced authorization requests, out-of-hours testing, preparing the test environment, learner checks prior to the test session, security rules and regulations for conducting BCS test sessions, how to handle incidents arising during a test session, and how to report serious incidents. It is advised that Invigilators read the Operational Requirements Manual, as this training will signpost to relevant sections, including a set of useful documents in the appendices. Your Centre Manager should make a copy of the Operational Requirements Manual available to you. It contains the do's and don'ts for BCS qualifications, and following this will ensure you are adhering to all BCS requirements. If you are unsure about any process, please refer to the Operational Requirements Manual or speak to your Centre Manager. To become an approved Invigilator of BCS qualification examinations, you must watch this complete video training guide and confirm to your Centre Manager when you have done so, before being permitted to invigilate. You must be observed at your first live test session by a registered BCS staff member, and sign the Invigilator Observation Report. You will then be observed on an annual basis thereafter. You must not receive any financial incentive, such as bonuses, regardless of the test outcome, but you may receive standard fees for invigilation. For more information on your role as an Invigilator, please refer to section 5.4 of the Operational Requirements Manual. In order to avoid a conflict of interest, the following rules must also be adhered to. If the centre is a school, the Invigilator must not have had any involvement in teaching learners for the qualification being tested. However, a teacher may enter the test room to resolve a technical issue. This must be recorded on your centre's test incident log. If the centre is not a school, the Invigilator is permitted to invigilate any learner with whom they have not been involved in the teaching of the unit being tested. An Invigilator must not have had any involvement in the invigilation of any learner known personally to them. For more information on conflict of interest, please visit sections 5.4 and 6 of the Operational Requirements Manual. The Invigilator is responsible for maintaining the following records. The test incident log is used for recording details of any incident or interruption during a test session. The out-of-hours record sheet is used to record details of any test session that takes place outside of what the Centre Manager defines as the centre's normal working hours. The off-site assessment form to record details of any test which takes place in a location that is not the approved centre or a registered satellite site. If staff testing is carried out, 2 Invigilators must invigilate, and both must sign a record, for example, the test register provided in Appendix F of the Operational Requirements Manual. Additionally, the staff must be tested with external learners, and BCS must have given permission for staff testing to take place. For more information on record keeping, visit sections 7, 9.4, 10.2, and 19.4.2 of the Operational Requirements Manual. All of the documents mentioned here are available to download from the Approved Centre Forum or the Learning and Support Hub. If you don't have access to these areas, please contact your Centre Manager to request these documents. Completed documents must be submitted to the Centre Manager after each live test session. The Invigilator needs to ensure BCS have provided authorization for the following. If a learner requires a reasonable adjustment, such as extra time or a reader, for a test session to be carried out at an off-site location, to continue testing a learner who has failed the standard test attempt allowance, to use barriers or dividers in the test room if minimum spacing cannot be met, or to allow BCS registered staff at your centre to sit a BCS test. For more information on your centre gaining authorization in advance, please refer to section 11 of the Operational Requirements Manual. If any tests take place outside of what is deemed normal working hours for your centre, documentation must be completed. The out-of-hours times are defined by the Centre Manager, and, as the invigilator, you need to be aware of the operating hours that have been defined. For example, if your centre is open to learners between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m, out-of-hours will be defined as any testing activity that takes place before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. It is the invigilator's responsibility to ensure a record is made whenever there is any out-of-hours testing. An out-of-hours record sheet is available from the Approved Centre Forum and the Learning and Support Hub. Alternatively, please contact your Centre Manager to request this document. If you are unsure if a test session should be defined as out-of-hours, please check with the Centre Manager. For more information on out-of-hours testing, please visit Section 9.4 of the Operational Requirements Manual. Before the test session can be conducted, you need to make sure that the test environment is correctly prepared in accordance with BCS regulations. Ensure the environment complies with current health and safety requirements, it's in a quiet location, and free from external noise. If required, check disabled access is available. Ensure there is a working wall clock visible to all learners and to the invigilator. Check that the date and time is accurate on all computers being used. Check that learners will be spaced at least 1.25 meters apart. If this spacing cannot be met, learners must be placed at alternate computers. Check that the session won't exceed the maximum invigilator to learner ratio of 1 to 20. If this will be exceeded, your Centre Manager will need to supply an additional invigilator. Finally, check that there is no information displayed around the room which may help learners in the test. For more information on preparing the test environment, please visit Section 19.1 or Appendix C of the Operational Requirements Manual. Before the test session is conducted, the invigilator must check the following information with regard to learners. Check all learners are registered with BCS for the correct qualification or unit. All registered learners will have a BCS ID. This is a 12-character reference that begins with the letters BCS. Check if any learner has been awarded any reasonable adjustments, such as extra time or a reader, and ensure that these have been provided. Finally, check and record the identity of all learners in the test session. For more information, visit Section 19.2.1 or Appendix C of the Operational Requirements Manual. On occasion, a learner will attempt a resit of a test, either to successfully pass or to improve their existing pass result. For all resit attempts, the invigilator is responsible for checking that BCS resit requirements are met. Learners are not permitted to resit a unit until at least one full calendar day has passed since the previous attempt. As an example, if a learner's previous attempt was on a Monday, they are not permitted to resit that test again until Wednesday. This is to ensure that learners are provided sufficient time to prepare for their resit. If a learner has attempted a unit 4 times, permission must be given by BCS for every further attempt at that unit. For the Level 1 and Level 2 certificate in digital literacy, only 2 attempts at each unit are permitted. For more information on requirements for resits, please visit Sections 19.7, 19.2.1 and Appendix C of the Operational Requirements Manual. If a test session involves using manual or paper tests, the invigilator must ensure the following requirements are met. Learners must only use the approved test materials and storage media. Ensure learners have access to all the required work files, which must be stored either on a removable storage device or a secure network area. Please note, this cannot be the learner's normal work area. If storage devices are used, these must be labelled with the learner's name and BCS identification number. The invigilator is responsible for randomly selecting the test paper from the bank provided on the day of the test. It's important that all test materials are securely handled whilst in the invigilator's possession. Any breach may lead to a security issue, and the test paper may become compromised. Any issue must be reported to the Centre Manager. For more information, please visit Section 19.2.2 or Appendix C of the Operational Requirements Manual. Invigilators must monitor all live test sessions to ensure BCS requirements are met. These important requirements are as follows. Learners are not permitted to speak to each other or ask the invigilator about the test questions. Learners may only address the invigilator in the case of hardware or software failure. Learners are not permitted to observe any other learner's work. Learners are not permitted to use a calculator or any other electrical device, such as a personal laptop or music player. Mobile phones and smartwatches are strictly prohibited. These must be handed in before the live test commences. Learners are not permitted to use books or any other help during the test. Learners are not permitted to leave the test room unaccompanied during the test. Bathroom breaks are not permitted. If a learner leaves for a bathroom break, they must not be permitted to return, unless authorized by BCS as a reasonable adjustment. Learners must be given a 5-minute reminder before the end of the test. We advise that learners make a note of the start and finish times before the test commences. It must be made clear to learners that any breach of these regulations will result in the test being terminated and the result invalidated. Finally, advise learners if they are leaving the room after they have finished, they must keep the noise level to a minimum to avoid distracting other learners who are still working. For more information on test requirements, please visit section 19.4.1 or Appendix D of the Operational Requirements Manual. There are some additional requirements that invigilators must be aware of for manual tests. Learners must only use the test papers and folders or drives specified. Learners are permitted to use the inbuilt help facility, but they must not use an internet browser to search for further help. Learners must not remove any test materials from the test room, and learners must hand in all test materials before leaving the test room. BCS defines a test incident as an interruption or incident during a test session which may include, but is not limited to, technical problems, building evacuations, medical emergencies, or anything else that requires invigilator intervention. Even a simple action, such as a learner raising their hand to ask a question, needs to be recorded as it leads to invigilator intervention. The invigilator is required to record all details of a test incident and submit the record to the center manager. To do this, you may use the test incident log, available from the approved center forum or the Learning and Support Hub. Should there be an appeal or malpractice investigation, the recording of incidents during test sessions will assist BCS and the center with the investigation. For more information on test incidents, please visit section 19.4.2 of the Operational Requirements Manual. In the event of an evacuation, the invigilator is also responsible for ensuring test conditions are maintained until the test session can resume. Learners may only resume the test session after the evacuation if the following conditions are met. All test materials were secured. Learners were not permitted to speak to anyone during the evacuation period. Learners were not able to access teaching, learning, or revision materials. If any of the above test conditions have not been maintained during the evacuation period, learners are not permitted to continue the test. Even if test conditions have been maintained throughout the evacuation, the invigilator must use their professional judgment to decide if any learner is disadvantaged by the evacuation. The invigilator may decide the learner should not continue, and the test must therefore be ended. Alternatively, the invigilator may decide to allocate a new test. In the event of allocating a new test as a result of test interruption, the invigilator will need to ensure the additional attempt is documented on the test incident log. This will be checked at your center's next audit. For more information on evacuation during a test session, please visit section 19.4.2 of the Operational Requirements Manual. The center manager is required to notify BCS immediately of any incident that may compromise the integrity of BCS qualifications. The types of incident BCS need to be made aware of include, but are not limited to, security breaches of test questions, suspected malpractice or maladministration by staff or learners, or anything that would invalidate the successful award of a unit or qualification. If you suspect any of these events may have taken place, you must inform the center manager. The center manager must report any notifications to Quality Assurance Team at bcs.uk. For more information on serious incidents and how to report them, please view section 19.5 of the Operational Requirements Manual. There are some final requirements for manual testing once the session is complete. As an invigilator, you must ensure no test materials are taken from the test room by any learner. Ensure all learner work files are securely stored on a removable storage device or secure network area prior to removing files from computers in the test room. And finally, submit all test materials, including all test papers, printouts, and learner work files, securely to the Center Manager. This must be done within 5 working days to allow for marking, internal verification, and central recording to be undertaken. For more information, refer to section 19.6.1 or Appendix C of the Operational Requirements Manual. This brings us to the end of this training video for an introduction to invigilation. If you have any queries, please contact your Center Manager or the BCS Accreditations team via the details on screen. Thank you for watching.